Perfect.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Paige Swords podcast. I'm bringing on Melissa, my local bikini pro who just competed at the Legion's Sports Fest. All right, Melissa, it's been a long time coming. I'm so happy to have you on this show. We've been extremely busy, and I mean, you know it. You're like, are you the first bikini pro in our area? Do you know?
So the first IFBB, according to JM, the first bikini pro from Pittsburgh was Amanda Latona, Steve Kuklow's wife. Yeah, and I was the second. So pretty good company there.
I was gonna say that one's not too bad then. She's pretty good.
Right. I'll follow in those footsteps any day, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I love Steve Kuklow. He needs to come.
I do too. He's awesome.
Oh yeah, very nice man. They're very cute together. I've seen podcasts with them together.
Yeah.
They're cute. So I love that about them. And yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know if you know who Jodie Sweeney is, but she just turned pro previous this year.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's cool to see more people that you like know, you know what I mean, turning you for example, amazing.
I keep forgetting.
I bet.
So when you turned, well, we'll get into your history and everything, but just really quickly, just because it's on my mind, how long was your off season from turning pro to the Legion?
Ooh, it ended up being over 2 years from stage to stage, and that was not by choice. COVID kind of screwed everything up. Initially my plan, I turned pro in July of 2019. Initially my plan was to compete the following September, so September of 2020, and then again in November. The September show got pushed back to December, so then the pro debut was going to be November, then the November one got canceled. And at that point I was starting to just, because I'd been prepping for so long, I started to my body needed a break. So we kind of just pulled it, which is good because the one that was from September rescheduled in December ended up being canceled anyway. So it was like, okay, regroup and let's come up with a plan for next year. So it ended up being 2 years, which was quite some time.
And honestly, do you look back and you're kind of like, do you feel like that was the right move? I mean, obviously you couldn't like, I'm sure you wanted to get on stage when you planned to with COVID wasn't a thing, but do you think that time was like worth it?
I do. And the reason I say this is, one, it gave me a chance to just live. Like I lived a lot more. I really enjoyed, going to the gym and doing the workouts I wanted to do, going there to train for fun, and if I didn't want to go to the gym one night, I didn't. I had more time with my kids. You know what I mean? We could go out and get a pizza on a Tuesday night. There was just so much more freedom and regular life. And in addition to that, as a bonus, I feel like my physique just had so much time to develop and mature. And I really like what was able to be built, during that time. So I think it was, a good result. It wasn't my plan initially, but it ended up being all right.
That's great to hear, because that was, as soon as I turned, well, honestly, I think I've told people on the podcast this before, but literally, like, I wanted to end my season this year after USA's no matter what. And I want that off season. I've been in prep all year, and I was like, no matter the outcome, I just wanted to see where I ended up on a national stage, and turning pro was like, oh shit.
Yeah. And immediately, as soon as you do, was everyone like, oh, when are you going to do a pro show?
Yeah. And I literally was like, no, I need an off season. And I'm just like,
you earned it. Like your body needs that break. You need that recuperation time for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And I look at the pro girls, and I'm sure you even looked at your competition, and it's just like, obviously you got rewarded the pro card. So that says, they thought that you were pro worthy, but like at the same time, I'm like, I just like what you just said, like my body needs a break. And I don't like, in bodybuilding, like there's no like true balance or flexibility.
No.
It's like, we're always on, really. But at the same time, like what you said, I just want to go have fun in the gym. And I don't want to have to like panic if I can't get to my cardio.
Right. Right. Yeah. Feel guilty or like be 10 o'clock at night. You're like on the stepper, like shit, I got to get 20 more minutes in, like none of that. And you're right, because like what you said, there is no middle ground with bodybuilding. If you take it seriously, right? Which we do, obviously, you can't half-ass it. You can't go in and do a workout you want to do if it's not in your training plan. You just don't. I mean, there's really no mess up. So having that freedom, and I don't know about you, but like the one thing I love about the off season is not weighing and measuring every morsel of food that goes in my mouth. I think that is the most time consuming, tedious, like annoying part of competing. So when you can just be like, it looks about like a half a cup of rice, it's like, oh my God, this is so freeing, which is silly because it's such a little thing, but it's awesome.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that's where I'm still easing into that post prep, because after a full year, it's like, you still have that like mental thing. Because I'm not the kind of girl, like I'm open to gain weight. Like I'm prepared for that. Obviously my face is getting more rounder as we go on here, but like at the same time, I'm just like, what are you going to do? It's bodybuilding.
Yeah, I know. And I honestly, like, I know a lot of people struggle more with prep. I struggle with the off season. I don't know how you are. Are you like that too?
Yeah, I think you're probably going to be like most girls that have a hard time watching the scale go up. Is that what it is?
It's that. And it's just, I like the structure, like for the most part, like as much as I say I don't like weighing food and I don't like weighing food, I do thrive better in a more structured environment. So, it can be a little overwhelming when you don't have that. And yeah, you see your body get to this crazy physique and you almost think like, whoa, I attained this. I should be able to sustain it. And you can't. And so you really just, I struggled with that when I first started competing. I think a lot of people do. A lot of people don't talk about it though, but it is a very, very real battle. Very real battle. So luckily, I've been in this for a few years now, so it's much more manageable. But I still do. I don't, the off season is a challenge. It really is.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that it should be talked about more. And I just, I know for me, like what you just said, like it got better over the years. And when I talk about it, I almost like feel bad because it's just like, oh, it'll get better. And they're just like, they feel like complete shit where they hear that and they're like, I don't know about that. Like, I really like seeing this number go up. So.
Yeah, it is hard. And excuse me, you just have to think though, like, think back to the preps and like what I try to do is like, okay, so like as I was getting leaner, I was able to see everything that I had built. So like I just try to think, we're doing that. I'm going to see this. This is for a reason, but it's not easy.
No. And you can look at where you started too. I want to get into some of your history because not only are you an IFBB pro, but you were also an OCB pro, correct? So
correct. And a WNBF, which is like a smaller organization, but it's like or no, I'm sorry, I can't remember. Not WNBF, WBFF or something. I forget what it is. What's another natural one? See, it was the first one, and I'm old, so I can't remember. I'm not trying to like shit on anything. I'm just saying I can't remember. But yes, OCB pro, straight out of the gate.
Yeah, and that's amazing because I honestly can't think of another person like that I know.
Really?
I don't know if you know people that have turned pro in both, or even three, but
no, I really don't.
Because I
do that's kind of cool.
Pros, but that was huge. So what year did you start bodybuilding?
So my first show I did was an OCB show. That was at the end of 2016. Okay. And I loved it. Like immediately I loved it. And then my first NPC show was that show we did together. And yeah, like I can't believe we did a bikini show together. Do you remember being backstage? I remember being backstage with you, and I was like, "Oh, you're Paige." I knew you from social media, and you had been with Aubrey and stuff like that. So I was like, "Oh," and now it's like, doesn't that feel like a lifetime ago?
It really does, because I remember one of the girls I talked to backstage was doing figure, and I was like, "That's what I really want to do." And I'm just sitting there like a bikini girl, like. I want
Yeah.
to figure, you know what I mean? You're just kind of like
Yeah.
in awe. And then I remember like, I was with my coach Jaron at the time, and he came to the show, and I remember he was like, that girl in first place is definitely going to win. And he was talking about you. And
Oh.
I just remember being like, yeah, like she looks so good. And it was awesome though. I remember that he was just like, just blown away of your physique at that show.
And now I look back at that, I'm like, I look terrible. Like, how did I win? I didn't have any muscle. Like, my posing was atrocious. But at the time I was like, yeah, hot shit. Like, you know what I mean? Now I'm like, oh God. Ooh.
I don't think they moved you out of center at all, or you know what I mean? It was one of those things.
Yeah. That show was like a dream. Like, it seriously was like a movie, a dream come true. It was pretty freaking cool. That was my first NPC show.
Yeah. Who was so here's my next question. So the OCB, did you work with a coach when you did OCB?
Not like a bodybuilding coach. I had a trainer at the gym I went to, and he was like my coach, I guess, but he was not familiar with bodybuilding. I look back at like what I did like leading up to the week. There was no peak week protocol. I just ate my normal diet in the morning. There was no carb up. There was nothing. Like, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So he was just a trainer, and that was actually the same trainer I had when I did the NPC show too. So again, no protocol, nothing. But then after that, I kind of got like an official bodybuilding coach.
Okay, great. Yeah, I was gonna say, because I was the same way. I had a personal trainer, Jaron.
Yeah.
And I remember him being like, do you want to like find somebody to help you with like the peak week? He's like, because I have no idea. Like, I had read about it online, and I'm like,
yeah,
no, I think I'll be all right. And like, I had I was just like macro planning on my own. So do you do macros now? No plan.
Loosely in the off season, I do more macros. I still stick kind of to meal. It's technically macros, but I kind of, you know how it is. You eat the same thing over and over again. So
it's just easier. Yeah.
It is so much easier.
You're not trying to fit the Pop-Tarts in.
No, the 6-pound cookies. No, it's okay.
That's fantastic. I'm actually on the NPC website too, and I'm looking to see, and I guess you also did the West Virginia show. Is that the one that they always had at the casino?
Yes. That was a really cool show. That was a fun show. So after my first year competing, I did the OCB show, and then I did that NPC show, won them both. Next year, I went and I did the Yorton Cup, which is the OCB Pro show. And I took first there, and then a couple weeks later, I did that West Virginia show. So, and then that was the end of that season. But that was a fun show. Andy Bartolovich puts on a good show.
Yeah, because that's actually this weekend up in Butler.
Oh,
that one again, the Think Pink. Yeah, that will be.
Are you going?
No, I actually already made commitments to go to another event, but if I wasn't going, I would have been good, because I would have been tanning backstage.
Oh gosh, okay. Oh,
yeah.
Fun.
But I'm going to a Veterans Day event this weekend. But yeah, it should be a good turnout, because like I know one girl competing for sure. But yeah, I think they're going to do a lot of the shows up in Butler. I think we just had the natural show or whatever, natural PA in the Homestead venue like a couple weeks ago. And I guess like it was like an absolute disaster, because with COVID restrictions and stuff, they were like, we might not keep it here ever. So
because of the places, the venues restrictions.
The venue, yeah, they couldn't do 2-day tanning. They had to do everybody's tan, all of it, first and like stage coat in the morning and before. That's why like the schedule got all messed up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I had a posing client in that show, and I remember talking to her, and she was like, I don't know, like my tanning, he's supposed to get back to me. And I'm like, this is odd, because normally like you have your tanning appointments. So wow, I can't imagine. That must have been a nightmare for everybody trying to organize it and the logistics.
Oh yeah, like honestly, it was probably good that it was such a small show. I think there was only like 45 competitors, which is like not much, but that's why we were able to do all of it in one day and not die.
Yeah. Congratulations on that, by the way.
So, but yeah, I'm sure the Think Pink will be a pretty good one. I know, like, spectator wise, I know a lot of people going, so that should be. Are you going?
I honestly didn't even realize that it was this weekend. So TBD. I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, Butler's not too bad. At least there's parking. It's just an hour drive. That's the only part.
What's the venue up there?
It is called the Tanglewood Center.
Okay.
And I won't lie, it's kind of like a community center, but they're pretty cool up there. Butler's open. Butler don't care.
That's awesome.
They're definitely red up there. They are ready to party.
Yeah.
So you also did the Pittsburgh Championship your first year of NTC?
Yes, without a coach again. So that was after that Homestead show we did. Everyone's like, go do the Pittsburgh. So I went and I did the Pittsburgh. And that's when you get your first heartbreak, I think, because I took fifth there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which technically fifth, was that like out of 5 girls or what?
No, I think there were like 26 or something in my class. I can't remember. So it was like, everyone was like, to get top 5 when you don't have a coach, like at the Pittsburgh, your first time there is pretty good, right? But I was like livid, like inside, like livid. And that show has always, like, I still have a bone to pick with that show. So a little hot tip is I'm going to be doing the Pit Pro this year. So yeah, a little bit of redemption to step back on that stage as a pro, like, oh, sweet validation, you know?
I think you belong up there. I would say as a Pittsburgh girl, you would show up on that stage.
Yeah. I'm pretty pumped to do a hometown show. Like, I'm pretty geeked.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be a really good year because I think last year everybody was kind of iffy. And next year, everyone's going to be like, all right, I'm done sitting around. Like, I'm ready.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. Totally.
And then let's see here, as we continue forward here into the timeline.
Yeah.
This is fun. I like to see what shows you did because honestly, I never saw your whole huge lineup. So you did the Northeast. So you only did one show in 2018?
What year was that? Which show was that I did?
That's the Northeast Showdown. Where's that?
Okay, no. So that was up in Rochester, New York. I did that one, won that one again. And then went and did North Americans after that. That was my first national show after that. I did North Americans.
That's weird. It doesn't show you on here. Maybe they
really?
Yeah, they probably misspelled your name and you're somewhere else.
Yeah, most likely.
Some I've seen that with some competitors. They'll be like, I did a show, but it's not there. And I'm like, well, they probably like misspelled your name.
Yeah.
But, okay. So do you remember where you placed your first national show?
Top 5, got 5th. 43 girls in my class. And I took
I'm sure you still weren't happy though, knowing you.
Knowing me, I wasn't, but I still was kind of, I was blown away when I got first call outs, to be honest with you, because, you know, as an amateur competitor, you're going into your first national show. It feels like a huge freaking monster. Like, you're like, I don't know if I belong here. Everyone looks amazing because you have to qualify to compete there. So when they called my name for first call outs, like at that point, I was just like, I don't even give a shit what happens. Like, this is awesome. And then to make top 5, I was just like, I was kind of over the moon. I loved North Americans. I loved that show. That was a really cool experience, that one. So
that's fantastic. I love hearing that too, because top 5 means you get to go out at finals because you pay all that money.
And hardware. You get hardware. So
hardware, you get a second chance on stage. Cause I tell you what, that's so much money. I feel bad for people that just get up on stage and then if you're not top 5, you're kind of done.
Yep. That's it. That's the end of it. I know.
Oh goodness. So that's odd. I love to see that you were traveling. I like that you didn't just do local shows either. I think that really says something whenever you're going to these other states like New York or West Virginia and stuff. Because then it looks like you did. Oh, then you went right into the nationals for the following year.
Yeah. So, and I agree with you with traveling because if I kept doing well around here, these judges liked me, but I wanted to see how I actually stacked up, right? So get me in front of other judges. Let's see if I'm actually good at this, or let's just see if these judges like me. So having it affirmed in different shows was, it really kept me going in the sport. Like, okay, I can do this. So yeah, traveling, I think that's a great idea for people to do.
Oh, absolutely. Did you end up doing, so where was the Yorton Cup for OCB?
Yorton Cup was in, it was right outside of DC in Virginia.
So that one you had to travel too. So it was kind of like, did you end up doing any OCB pro shows?
That was the only OCB pro show I did. And when I took first there, it's like literally there's nothing else after that. That's their championship. So it was like, that's it. But you know what's so funny about that show is I was damn determined to place in that show because there was prize money. And that was my first Christmas. Like, it was going to be the first Christmas. I was a single mom. I was, had gotten divorced, and I had gone back to work. And I mean, obviously I'd been out of the workforce for 6 years. So I was not making a lot of money. And I was like, I have 3 kids. How am I going to do this? I was like, well, shit, I got to place at Yorton. Like, there was like no other option. Like, that was it. And hey, thanks OCB. Like, my kids had a really cool Christmas that year. So
that's so, like, it just shows how much work. Like, I think you really like manifested that. I bet, like, you were like,
yeah,
I have to win. Like what you just said. And it's crazy because you're saying that, and I'm thinking also, like, like Sean Roden just passed, and I feel bad for the guy because he passed away, and I'm sure it was really hard that he couldn't provide for his daughter, because I'm sure bodybuilding was his way,
Yeah.
And
that is terrible. What a terrible loss. And you know what, Paige, like, I literally was backstage with him. We were sitting, a few feet from him at Legion. I mean, it was just, he was there talking to my coach, we're all standing around, and then just gone. It's like, it's so tragic, so tragic.
And that is, I do know that he was there because there was a few competitors talking about how, like, Sergio Oliva, like, Junior was saying that Sean's been at every one of his shows, which he did the Legion, so he was there. And I'm just like, it really is sad because you just never, they're walking.
No. I know. It's so, it just gives me goosebumps. It's terrible. He's walking around like, hey, this is the last Saturday of his life. Like, what? Ugh. But anyway, on to happier topics.
But yeah, I did want to bring that up because, well, I'm glad that you shared that story, because it just shows that you really do, in this sport, you really have to mentally have that strong goal and do it you did it for yourself, really. I mean, you did it for your kids and family, but there was still that, this is for me. This isn't for the gram. This is for me.
No. Yeah. I'm the most like anti, like, I'm like the antithesis of the bikini competitor, I think, as far as like my social media goes. And that's why I had like 4,000, 4,500 followers. That's it. Because, I don't show my butthole on Instagram. You know what I mean? I'm in this for the sport. Not for the attention. And I'm fully okay with that. There's people that do it for attention. And that kills me because it cheapens the sport, but that's just not me. So.
And I understand because I love it, because I feel like I'm almost the opposite, just because it's like I'm such an oversharer. But then something like you have always appreciated it, because I'm just like, well, there's always going to be so many people have different approaches and stuff. And like, it's almost like you always have the robe on, and then the red carpet comes out, and it's like, Melissa's here. Like,
I have heard that. I've been called the silent assassin a couple of times. And I like that, but it also, the reason I do that is not, for that reason. It's for my own mental peace and sanity. If I was constantly posting check-in pictures, which I did do a little more this prep, because I was like, I don't give a crap. Like, I'm already a pro, like, whatever, everybody's going to look amazing. I never liked really showing competitors what I had. And also I would then like nitpick my own check-in pictures, compare it to theirs and everything like that. And you know what? Like, I'm sure this, Paige, what people share on the gram is not necessarily how they look, because I used to stress out about girls, and then I would see them backstage and I was like, you don't look like you do on Instagram, you know? So it was just for my own mental peace to just focus on my prep and worry about myself and stay in my lane.
And I'm glad that you can say that too and give people that reminder, because, well, obviously we're in the pro league now and there's no height classes, but for my show, I had to tell myself, go ahead, look at all these girls all you want, but guess what? They might not even be in your height class. You're not even going to stand next to them.
Yep. And that's true. That's a very good point. Yeah, I never really even thought about height, but it's true.
And even if I did know their height class, I still was just like, well, clearly, like, usually if I did, it was because they've done a national show already and I knew what class they were in. But I was just like, hey, if they have to keep doing national shows and I haven't stepped up on there yet, you know, what if they don't have what the judges are looking for? And that's why they keep showing up. I mean, there's that.
Yeah.
Whatever I have to tell myself.
Yeah, exactly, to get you through. And that's like, I did 3 national shows. So my third one, I turned pro. But, you know, I was so worried going into junior nats in 2019 because I felt like North Americans had gone so well. You know, my first time I got up there, I did first call outs, I got top 5. I was like, what if I like get second or third call outs here? You know, like that's going to devastate me. Luckily that wasn't the case, but you know, I just, it can be such a mind fuck, like such a mind fuck. So
for real. Yeah. And you know what is cool? Like, obviously I think third for your third national show is pretty good to say too, because I like that you got to try different shows too. Cause like, for me, it's like,
Junior Nats was my second national show.
Junior. Okay. Yeah. And then, then you did Universe and then, so that's like, to me, cause I like, you got to like travel, you probably got to meet people backstage, and like to me that's like a super fun part of the sport.
It is.
Where was Universe at the time for that show? Was it in North?
That was in New Jersey, right outside of New York City.
I couldn't remember pre-COVID. I was like, where
I know
now.
Life before, right?
Yeah. So it was in New Jersey before, so even that was kind of close to home, so like that's nice. East Coast.
Yeah, that was, I mean, obviously that experience that's my favorite show, obviously, but yeah, that was a good one. I like Junior Nats though too, because that was in Chicago, so that was a cool one as well.
You got to do the cool ones when
I did
before COVID, whenever it was like not on. I think now they're like all on the East Coast, but USA's.
Yeah, where was USA's? It used to be in Vegas, right? Where was it this year?
So it was in Phoenix, Arizona.
Right. Okay.
Which worked out for me because that's where my coach lives. And I was like, bingo.
Meant to be. Yeah, meant to be. That's awesome.
Well, yeah. And even originally, my coach was like, oh, you'll just fly to Arizona and we'll drive you up. And then when it was in Phoenix, she's like, all right, well, that was easy.
Yeah, totally.
So you turned pro, and like we had talked about, you took pretty much like a 2-year break, we can say. Right. And I hope you don't mind me saying, but you do work with Shane Hughley, and it seems like you've been extremely happy with him over the past couple years. He turned pro, right? He did.
I started working with him after North Americans. I had just reached out to him about coaching, and he was like, I remember you from North Americans. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I started working with him, and, you know, Junior Nats, I took third, and then Universe, I turned pro. And, you know, he and I have developed our relationship a lot more. It was, you know, I wasn't sure. He's a man of few words, and I'm a woman of many words. So, you know, it takes some time to kind of find your rhythm. But I think, like, without a question, he's the best fit for me. You know, it's not for everybody. Each coach is not for everybody, but he and I work very well together.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you bring that up, because I know that there's been controversy with many coaches. And I do feel like that if you think that coach works for you, then I don't think anybody really needs to be in that business. You know what I mean? Like, that's your business.
Totally.
You and the coach. So I like that you had said that, and that, you know, because I do know he's turned, I mean, even at my show, three girls in figure were all by Shane. So it's like, the dude has experience.
Well, did you see I mean, he literally is so good at what he does. And you know, that is what I want in a coach. I don't want a coach that's going to sit there and coddle me. Like, I want him to tell me, how do I get better? What do I need to work on? What areas am I lacking in? And I mean, he would tell you, like when I was in prep this time, you know, I said, what is my weak spot? Like, what do I need to work on? He was like, your vision, which was funny, but, you know, he will be a straight shooter with you. And I need that, but he is so good at what he does. I mean, I know we haven't really touched on Legion yet, but if you look at the change in my physique from Friday to Sunday at Legion, it's insane. And that was only because I did exactly what he told me to do. So he is very, very good at what he does.
Yeah, because I know we can go into Legion. I just want to say, well,
yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine. You're totally fine. Because I'm glad that you're talking about, I like hearing about coaches because that's obviously kind of personal with you guys, and whatever you want to share, I think is great. But for those shows that you didn't quite make it to, what was your original pro debut show in mind that didn't happen?
It was what's the one that's in Michigan? Is it like the Grand Prix or something?
Oh, there was have so many pro shows. Yeah, I think so. It was I
forget what it's called, but it's the one that was in Michigan, and then I was going to do the Iowa Pro in November.
Okay. Interesting choices, because you picked states that aren't, I feel like those aren't like big tier shows, you know what I mean?
No.
Because like I said, Bikini Girls, you guys have a lot to choose from too. So
we do.
Okay, so you had 2 shows, didn't quite work out, pulled out. And then when did you decide on Legion?
Funny story about Legion. I literally had no idea it was the huge fucking deal it is. Okay. Like, I literally didn't realize it was like the Arnold of the West Coast. Like, I had no idea. Right. So I was just looking at the schedule and like, you know, like, I'm always doing like 50 things at one time. So I was just looking based on dates of when I wanted to start prepping and how long I thought it would take. And that was solely, and then the second factor was, I want to go somewhere I haven't been before.
Yeah.
That's it. That's literally how I picked Legion. And was I surprised when I realized the enormity of Legion. But wow, am I glad that I went, because it was so cool. So
I was so pumped to hear that was your pick, because I mean, they only have figure masters at that show. But I'm just like, damn, like, I love the superhero theme. I really like Chris Minutes. He's a really cool promoter. I love his girlfriend, who's a figure pro. So I was like, man, and I do hear that they know what the competitors want.
Yeah, I was so impressed with how smoothly everything went. I mean, everybody there was so nice, so helpful. I mean, expediters, everybody backstage. And I mean, there was a ton of work that goes into those shows. And it was just, I mean, it went flawlessly, seamlessly. It was great. So, you know, I highly encourage anybody that's thinking about doing that show to definitely do it. It's awesome.
Oh, absolutely. And you've got, I mean, I know Missy Truscott did that show. So you've got heavy hitters coming into that show that just hopped off of the Olympia stage.
Yeah. Like, oh, hey, there's Jessica Reyes Padilla. Oh, hey, cool. What's up? Like, it's wild. And I mean, it's just, it's crazy.
And the winners get those beautiful crowns. That's what I want.
I know. I'm so jealous. I kind of want one too.
Sometime, girl. I feel like the West Coast shows, they do a lot of crowns. So
I know. They're always so pretty too. Like, I sound like such a girl, but they really are.
They are. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, some people want the swords. Some people like, I know some shows have really unique trophies, but I'm just like, I don't care. I just want the tiara just to wear for maybe a couple pictures or something.
I know. Or like on the airplane home, maybe just wear the tiara. But their trophies too. Holy shit, you should have seen those. They were huge, and like probably I would say at least like 40 pounds. Like, they were enormous. So they really go out for that show. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think I heard a podcast with Chris when he was talking about the show, and he said that they were like custom made. Like, you can't get those like anywhere. They're like very special for the show. And I'm just like, that's cool.
So cool. So cool.
Oh, goodness. So I'm glad you had a great experience and probably got to meet lots of, I mean, this was your pro debut, so
Yeah.
probably felt
Yeah.
really good to do that.
Yeah, it was wild. It was wild to think, it started on this little stage and I'm back here. Like, how many times did I like do cardio in the morning on the stepper and just like, be looking at stuff on Instagram. And, I remember like following Kenny Wallach and being like, look at him doing his Winter Wednesdays and being like, man, these people are so lucky they get to work with him. And then the people that won, like, man, they're so cool that they like, how lucky that they get featured on there. And then I'm like, Kenny's my posing coach and I've been featured on his stuff. And it's just like, it's literally like a dream has come true. And it's crazy. I'm so grateful for it because what an experience,
Absolutely. And then you got to say your name on like your actual name on stage.
Yes. So. Yes. And like for call outs when they say number, whatever, Melissa, I'm like, oh yay,
It's the little things because after on the amateur stage, you're like, I don't have to memorize this stupid button number. Like I get
right. Yeah, I know. That's true.
All right, here's my next question, just because I love the pose and I know you pose too. How was it having a longer posing routine on stage?
Terrible. Here's why it was terrible. That stage was carpeted. That was carpeted. So honestly, no, I like having the individual routines. What was hard was on Friday, they were so rushed we didn't get to do our individuals. And I feel like that I was very disappointed in that because I feel like that is a strong point for me. I feel like my posing is usually pretty good. So I was very disappointed I didn't get to do that initially, but I mean, judges can only sit there for so long. I understand that. However, that stage was carpeted and it was like thick carpet. It wasn't like that indoor outdoor. So that made it difficult. But I mean, I shouldn't have said I didn't like having it, but I mean, I do like having the longer posing routine. It was just the experience of going through it was not how I had wished it would be, but I'll like it next time, I think.
Yeah, I think that might have just been, I mean, you obviously did very well for your first pro show too. So if that is maybe one of your more negative or not negative, but not highlights, but there's going to be like that next show and you're going to be like, all right.
Yeah. Now it's time to bring it.
And you already know that the Pittsburgh's going to have hardwood.
I'm going to rock that stage, Paige. Rock it.
I am so excited. I am going to be, well, first of all, I'm probably going to be tanning backstage. So I'll get to make sure you're nice and all ready. Because I did tell you too, Legion, you look very nice and tan. You are very dark.
Thank you. Yeah, they did an amazing pro-tan. I mean, they did an amazing job. And it was really funny because I went back and I had my team jacket on and they were like, oh, you're one of Shane's girls. Okay, we know what he likes. And like literally when he came to my hotel room that night when he flew in and got there to check me out and everything, he was like, your tan is. And I was like, good. So yeah, it went. And I think with the suit color and my hair and everything, I think I really, really liked the look I had this year. So.
Definitely, I like the dark hair. I think before you had a mixture of some brunette and blonde. So I think the dark worked out. And did you feel like backstage, you said everybody got along all right? How are the other bikini girls? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing too. I feel like a lot of people have this preconceived notion that, it's very cutthroat and catty. That has never, ever once been my experience. I have had so much fun backstage. I have been, become close with a lot of the girls just from being backstage with them. And everybody is so nice. I think there's such a mutual respect because we all know what everyone went through. And it's like, hey, we each completed it. Like, good on you, dude, because that was hard, So it's very nice. I mean, it was, backstage was just cool. It was really dark at Legion, though, backstage. There weren't very many lights. So that was the only thing that was weird.
People want to go to sleep.
Seriously, yeah.
And then I saw that you got a picture with Emily. I thought that was cool that you guys were both there. And
it was cool.
She did great.
So Emily, funniest story, when I was like, I followed her on Instagram and everything, and I followed her, watched her turn pro, and she actually glazed my buns at North Americans. And I remember being like, oh my God, should I say something? And then I was like, you're Emily, right? And like, we just kind of like, she started following me, I think, on Instagram. So it's always, I have such a respect for her. She's incredible. She's a great competitor.
I don't think anybody works like she does, man.
No, she's amazing. So it was really cool to see her backstage and everything. Yeah, it was awesome.
Gosh. And she just did the Olympia too. So
yeah,
man.
Holy shit. I'm here with an Olympian. Okay. You know,
you're like, oh, hometown girl, what's up? And
I know. It's wild.
Yeah, I see she's going for another one this Saturday down in Florida. I'm just like, go get it, girl. Just keep that momentum, you know. It's like the last show of the year.
Yep.
So we got the Legion, and now we're going to the Pittsburgh Pro. I think this is great. You should try to get in with JM Mannion so you can do that, that road to the Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he actually, like when I talked to him at Universe, after everything, and, you know, he was like, come down and let's do a photo shoot and all this stuff. And then honestly, life just kind of took over and I just never pursued it. But I definitely feel like with doing the Pittsburgh and being the, you know, the second, I guess, Bikini Pro here, like, I feel like it just fits. It just makes sense.
Yeah. I would love to see you do that, to go over there. JM would love it. JM's a good time.
He's a cool guy.
He is. He loves the bikini girls. Well, although I think he's going more towards wellness, but he still loves you guys. Don't worry.
Yeah. we're like the second child now.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I like our new baby.
Right, exactly.
So before we get going here, because I'm already having you for a while, I did want to touch a little bit on you having 3 beautiful children and how you're able to do all of this and be a mom of 3. I think that's the crazy thing. Like, I'll say right now, I just saw Adam, our massage guy, on Friday, and he was just telling me how amazing your waist just disappears. And it's just like, I can't believe that she has 3 kids. Her waist just disappears.
Oh, that was so kind of him. Yeah. So I actually went to see him. It was like 2 weeks before I competed. And he, you know, worked on me, obviously. And then there was another bodybuilder that was there. I don't know if you know Trevor Brumbaugh, I think is his name. Yeah. So he came in, he had a session with Adam after me. And so I came out, and just because Adam had worked on my back, I wanted to kind of pose with it and see how it gone. And so they kind of looked at me and I posed, and both of their expressions, I was like, okay, like, all right, this looks good, because they were like, where'd your waist go? Like, it's crazy. So yeah, that part to me, it blows me away, honestly, like, of my own physique. Like, I don't know how that happens. I had 3 freaking kids. I was huge when I was pregnant too. You know, I had 3 C-sections, so they cut my stomach 3 times. But it just shows there are no freaking excuses. None.
No, absolutely. I mean, honestly, I know I've told you before, there's just times where, you know, you're like, I don't want to do this like late night cardio. And I'm thinking,
yeah,
I've seen Melissa like literally at Anytime Fitness, like ran like 10 o'clock at night or something really late.
Yeah.
You know, you've been doing like your job and stuff, and with the kids, I'm just like, I can't, like, why am I complaining right now? You can't, like, it's literally just you, like,
yeah. Well, it's still hard though. So don't downplay it, because, you know, but it's wild. But I mean, I tend to thrive in that sort of environment, apparently. We'll see how my blood pressure is in a few years, but I really come from the place of, I want my kids to see that it doesn't freaking matter where you are in your life or what anyone tells you. If you want something and you work for it, you can accomplish it. Like, that's it. And that, you know, my kids are starting to get older now. My oldest she gets it. She's thanked me for it. She, you know, told me how proud she is of me and everything. But that's mainly just what I want, because this world will beat you down. It will make you think you're nothing. But I just want them to have that sense of self and their own, you know, strength, that they can do whatever they put their minds to.
Yeah. And I love just seeing you take the kids out and you go and have a normal meal with them every once in a while, and you guys Red Robin, or you go here and there, and I'm sure that they appreciate that, like, that you make time to be like,
Yeah.
mom has to be a pro bodybuilder when she's got to be a pro bodybuilder, but mom can also still be normal mom.
Yeah. I do. I prioritize that a lot. And that's, the last couple weeks of prep are hard. And, I definitely was apologizing. Sorry, mommy's hungry. Mommy's tired. Like, give mommy 8 more days and you'll have normal mom back. Like, I promise. And so like, I would text them, like, hey guys, in a week we can do this. And honestly, the thing I was looking forward to the most was coming home and just going out to dinner with them. Just going out to dinner with them. And we got to do that like the Tuesday. I got back Monday. We went out Tuesday, and it was just like, it was the greatest feeling in the world.
Yeah. And I even messaged you. I was like, man, I can't wait for her to get home and just go celebrate with the kids.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. No, and I also think it's great that you have like all the kids that you have to feed, right? And you still obviously stick to your plan. Like, I know some people, they're like, oh, my kid had a donut and I just like had to finish it. He didn't finish it all. Like,
Yeah.
I don't that.
Yeah. Like if that's where your level of self-discipline is, get out of the sport. You don't belong here. I still do, when I'm in prep, cook my kids' food, my meals. I make them dinners, shit that I don't eat. I mean, I literally will cook for my family and I never eat it. I have been in prep at my son's birthday and I have made birthday cakes and sat there and not ate it. I mean, it's just, the longer you go, it's just the way it is. It's lifestyle. But yes, I had someone who asked me about competing, said she was interested. And she also, I think, drove for like DoorDash or something. And she said, my problem is the food. Like if an order's wrong, I get to eat it. And so it's hard. And I'm like, if you can't control yourself from not eating someone else's DoorDash food, their messed up order, don't even consider this. This is not for you. So yeah, like we have to ignore the most basic human instinct of hunger. And you really have to have a strong resolve, to do that. So yeah.
Yeah. And I'm really proud of you for being able to say that. Cause like I said, like what you just said about that person, I hear those stories all the time, and I don't want to be an asshole because I'm not a mom. I don't truly get it. But at the same time, I'm just like, you really, like, you're an adult. You let that donut like take over your mind for your goal.
Right. Well, do you want to know my secret? Like, this was my secret, and this is why I will always have dogs, is like when the kids wouldn't finish something on the plate, what I used to do is just like on the floor real quick and be like, come here, dogs. And the dogs would eat it. Because the longer you look at it, the more your resolve, it lessens. So don't look at it. Don't think about it. Get rid of it. Don't eat it.
Hey, that's great. Yeah. Everybody get dogs.
Yeah, seriously. You can borrow mine if you need.
Well, I don't want to keep you forever, but this has been such a great conversation. And
yes. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thanks for making time for it since you're a mom.
Of course. Anytime.
And of course, I will see you at the Pittsburgh. I cannot wait.
Yes. Yes. Tan me good and then cheer for me. Okay.
Oh, yes. I will. But absolutely. Like, I can't miss it for the world. So I'll be so excited. And yeah, I just want to say, obviously I'm no longer a bikini girl, but you're definitely one of my favorites. Absolutely. So
thanks, Paige. Thank you.
Right. Well, thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. All right.
You too. Take care.
Bye.